What's going on? It's Thomas, and in this video, I want to share with you the TPS framework, test, prove, scale, and how we use that to go from spending a couple $100 per day to scaling into tens of thousands of dollars per day. So let's jump in. So just to lay the foundation, for those of you who are new to the channel, for those of you who are new to me and don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Owen. I'm a super affiliate and have been running affiliate Facebook ads since 2020. I've generated well over $25 million in affiliate commissions, have scaled multiple offers into 5 figures and even 6 figures per day, and have achieved Clickbank Diamond 3 times, as well as multiple other awards, Buy Goods Legends, MaxWeb, Gold Partner, etc., etc. Now I'm really working on helping others achieve the same success following a proven path. So let's jump into it, okay? So the TPS framework is a framework that I've used for several years now. And obviously I sprinkle different bits and I sort of adapt, and I do have different structures that I use and have used it more recently that have been really good. However, what I find is I always revert back to this. The TPS framework or method is nothing new. Multiple affiliates, multiple media buyers use the same or a very similar structure. In fact, I'll give a very quick shout out to Jason Katassi, because there's a few things that I took from his structure that I've adapted to my own, and I'm seeing really good results from it, and I'll share with you that in just a second. But nothing that I've ever done, and I've never claimed that is mine directly, that I've really created this from the ground up. No one else does this. I don't think anybody has really sort of had something that's just been brand new from the ground up, some kind of structure or strategy. It's always just implementing what they've learned and seen others do and sort of merging it into one. And ultimately, that's what I've done. So test, prove, scale is very, very simple when broken down. The first thing we do is we test. We need to test ads, creatives, concepts, messaging, angles, a whole bunch of different things, right? We need to test. Then we need to prove. Can what looks good, the ads that look good, can they hold a higher budget? And that's where we prove. And then we scale. Now we've tested and proved this is a winning ad and it can handle higher budgets. Can it scale? And that's ultimately what we're doing in this TPS framework. Test, prove, scale. Obviously there's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. So I thought, what better way than to actually walk through a very recent and ongoing live campaign that was launched just a couple of days ago. I've got the data you can see on my screen right now. We're inside RedTrack. By the way, there's a link below in the description for RedTrack. By far, in my opinion, the best tracking platform out there for multiple reasons, which I won't go into, but I do have a video. If I remember, I'll put it somewhere on this video, but don't hold me to it. You might have to actually go search through my videos where I go a bit deeper into RedTrack and why I like it so much. Anyway, to go back to this TPS, there's a couple of things that I think are super important. And when I'm working directly one-on-one with clients and students, I see this mistake happening quite a lot. And that is, there's no variety in their ads. And for me, variety is key, okay? One, I don't want to be solely dependent on videos. I want to have videos. I want to have images. That's one thing that we can sort of increase our creative output and have variety. Instead of just having the same type of video, UGC script or AI, actor, whatever, ARC ads. Instead of just having that one type of ad, that one concept, let's have a UGC. Let's also have like an authority figure, B-roll script. Let's also have a first-person view recipe video. Let's also have some quad images. Let's also have some, I want to mix it up. I want variety, because to test and only have one concept or creative style as a test in your ads is really leaving a lot of money on the table potentially, because you don't know what concept, what angle, what ad, what creative style is going to resonate best with your audience for this particular offer. So it's really important, and one thing that I see missed so many times. So for me, obviously, to revert back to the beginning, the first step is finding an offer, and I'm not going to go too much into that in this video, but we want a good offer. We need to find a hot offer, an offer that converts well. And I have some, benchmarks that I'm looking for. They're not set in stone, and I think that's really important to point out. My benchmarks are never set in stone. I want a certain conversion rate on the offer. I want a certain checkout to purchase ratio. I want a certain offer visitor to checkout. I want a certain CPA. I want a certain ROI. I want a certain ad click-through rate, landing page click-through rate. But ultimately, I'm after one thing, and that's green numbers. I want profit. So if my click-through rate is 50% of what I actually want, but my profit is great, I don't really care. If my landing page click-through rate is 30%, but my benchmark's 50, but my profit's good, I don't really care. Although I have these benchmarks and metrics that I'm aiming for, they're not important as the actual real thing, right? CPA, how much am I paying, right, to acquire a conversion or a purchase? In my case, we run purchase campaigns. And then also, there's a couple of different metrics that we can go into, but for me, CPA is one of the most important because we run static CPA payouts. So like if my payout is 150, then maybe I want to get purchases for less than 110. What's my CPA? It's $100. Fantastic. What's my CPA? It's 130. Okay, we need to look at it, right? So that's a really important metric and can be really sort of, what's the CPA? What's the payout? What's the difference? That's the profit, right? So really important metrics. You could also go with EPC, which I know a lot of people do. What's my EPC? What's my CPC? Okay, what's the difference? Is it profitable? Is it not? So, there's a few different things that you can look at. For me, I just prefer CPA and obviously ROI or ROAS. So with that, so again, just to go back into the offer, I'm looking for offers, and ideally I want to see, at least a 1% conversion rate. And obviously you might not be able to get that data if you have no leverage, no connection already with the vendor or the affiliate manager or whatever it is. But I want to see a 1% conversion rate. I also want to see a payout of ideally 140 plus. Now, let's add a caveat. Again, they're not set in stone. Okay, like if I have an offer that converts at 0.8% but has a payout of $200, well, if that payout offsets the lower conversion rate, I don't really care, right? And vice versa, if I have an offer that pays out $100 but a conversion rate of 2%, I don't really care. Because if it's profitable, that's all that matters. Okay, so I think, and the reason why I'm going so deep into this is because I have, friends or students, clients, and they can really become, especially the beginners, they can become really stuck. And for, obvious reasons, okay? They're new to it, they're not really sure what's going on. They can become very stuck on, the click-through rate's not 5%. Like, it's okay. Like, what's the rest of the funnel saying, right? Like, that's not the primary metric that we're looking at here. The primary metric is always profit. Are we making money? Yes or no? That's the primary metric. Everything else is secondary. It's good to have, but it's not essential. So I just want to point that out and make that clear. Obviously spent a little bit too much time there, but if you know me or have followed my content, the tangents always come heavy and hard. All right, so not going too much into the offer, although we did. You find your offer, right? And for me, I have a rule where I want to test a 10x payout. So for me, if my offer, let's go back to that 150 example, is $150 payout, I'm going to set aside $1,500 of test budget. That's what I'm willing to spend to get data to determine whether we continue with this offer. Does this offer have legs? Now, in saying that, I might spend $800 and decide this offer's not really converting. Let's cut it. Okay, so I'm not always spending that $1,500 if I can see that this offer is not going to work. Now, going back to the beginning, we're testing variety. I'm not dependent on one ad style, on one video script. I'm testing multiple, usually 3 or 5 different scripts or concepts. Like I said before, I like to mix videos and images. So let's actually dive into what we're looking at here, right? So this is a campaign that was recently launched, I think 2 or 3 days ago, and we have data, okay? So we can see the cost, $2,415 spent with, we don't have the revenue in this picture, but we can scroll to the right and we can see revenue of $2,750, and we can scroll back to the left. You can see all the different things, right? I've got custom metrics added because I track different things. Really, I just want to pay attention to these on the left, that we have the conversion, 22 conversions. We've had, our investment so far, and we're profitable overall. So the payout, so there's a few things that's happened in this campaign, and, I'm not going to go into too much depth, but we tested 2 different offers. Okay, we just rotated, and this is another interesting point that I've had with an existing client, is one of my one-to-one clients, is the importance of rotating offers, and always, being able to have that ability is really important. Red Track gives that ability. I think most trackers do. If they don't, then that for me is a red flag as to why not to use them. One of many red flags. But I want to be able to rotate offers easily without having to switch links or drop in one offer to focus on another. I want to be able to just rotate, and meaning 1 click goes there, 1 click goes there. Second, so that an even split, or however I decide to weight the offer or the offers, like the traffic splits between them. Okay, that's really what I want. Again, it's not essential, but it's a good option to have if the offer that you choose isn't really hitting it. You could literally just rotate another offer in the same niche, although maybe the messaging isn't exactly congruent with this new offer. You can at least see if this new offer has legs, and then be able to make your messaging and ad creative and ads suitable to that new offer if it shows promise, okay? So again, tangent in a way, but we've spent $2,400, okay? We've made back 27, whatever it is. We've got a profit, and that's a really good sign at this early stage. That's what I'm looking for. Now, when I'm going back to that 10x payout, I'm setting that aside. Now, that doesn't mean I want to be profitable in that 10x. What it means is I want to make sure the offer's got legs. Remember, I'm testing different variations. I'm testing a variety of ads, of messaging, of angles, of concepts. So I know if I've got 20 different ads, individual unique ads running, and I've spent $2,400 and made back 27, I know when I drill down, I'm going to have some real good pockets of profit. It's a really good quote or saying, pockets of profit. That's what we're looking for at this early test stage. Where are the pockets of profit? Ad 7, ad 9, ad 1, right? There's the pockets of profit. Now, can we isolate those pockets of profit and prove them, right? So remember, we've got the test phase, which is what you see in here. 5 different campaigns, ABO, where we can isolate the testing. We can control the testing, okay? Do I always use this? No, sometimes I go straight into CBO. It depends on, what data I have on the offer, on the niche, on my creatives, my angles, lots of different things. But I think for beginners or people, beginners through to advanced, this is a really good structure to sort of test, prove, and scale. It really is. It works for everyone. Whereas big budget CBOs straight out the door, I think are more for advanced people. I want to make content that's more suitable to those that can, beginners through to advanced, right? So we have our 5 campaigns. Each one is a different creative. So we've got Johnny, we've got Drake, we've got Quad, Cuke, and Peanut. They all mean different things. Some of them quite obvious, some of them maybe not so much. But for me and my team, we know exactly what is being tested or what the angle or concept is here, right? So if we break down Johnny, which we can see overall is spent the most by far, because we're already proven in this campaign. Okay, so we've got an overall ROI of 12%, which isn't amazing. But when we drill down, remember, we're looking for pockets of profit. Now we see, all right, Johnny Shocked, this original one, 53% ROI, 4 conversions, their purchases. Then we've got Johnny V2. This is already, we're testing variations of our initial concept, okay? So the initial concept was just Johnny on its own. We saw Johnny Shocked, which is an angle of the primary text. We saw Johnny Shocked was getting really good results. So it got 4 conversions, really good conversion rate, decent ROI. This is ticking a lot of boxes. Okay, let's now create some iterations. Another where I see a lot of affiliates, both people who I work with and who I see just out there, they really a big way where they go wrong is they don't have creative output. Okay, they whip up their first batch of creatives and they maybe find some winners, but they don't continue to test. Meaning when that ad eventually fatigues, which could be within a couple of days, couple of weeks, couple of months, at some point it will. But when it doesn't continue to get results, they've got nothing to fall back on. It's back to the drawing board. They need to start from scratch. So what I recommend is you constantly put out new creative, and you do it 2 ways. You iterate winners, Johnny V2, we have a winning concept here. And although this isn't like, there's not enough data to be, from Johnny V1, we'll call it, to be like, oh yeah, this is definitely a winner. The early signs were there. Okay, interesting. The audience is resonating with this ad. Let's create some iterations as a new test. And we did. Johnny V2 came out, boom. Johnny V2 in the locker, bash, 3 conversions, 168% ROI. Is this enough data to confirm as a winner? No, but it's heading in the right direction. It's heading towards prove, right? So this is why it's important to have variety, because here's the pockets of profit. Like if you can find ads that spit out these kind of numbers, then especially if you can find 3, 4, or 5 that you can scale, you're looking at a very good campaign. Okay. Now, on the back of that, you want to have new iterations of those winners coming out every week. Okay. Take what's winning for the past week, have your team or yourself or outsource to wherever, create iterations based on the creative, based on the script, based on the angle, and produce new variations. That's the easiest way. And for us, probably 80% is just creating iterations of what we see working. The other 20% is brand new tests. So new angles, brand new concepts, brand new, messaging. And by doing that, we're able to continuously pump out new winners, right? So it's very, very important that you do it. Don't get stuck and just stop producing creative or putting out creative once you've found a couple of winners, because you will become unstuck, okay? So let's dive into it. I know we're going to have to, I'm going to just try and shrink. I wonder if I can, no, I can a little bit actually. There we go. So I can play around with these a little bit. I just want to make things a little bit smaller so we can see the ads as well, right? So we've got this Johnny campaign, okay? And now we can see at the ad set level, we've got a prove ad set. And it's based off of this ad set here, right? This was one of the originals. And this was only launched a couple of days ago. And it got off to such a good start. It met all our criteria. Usually what I'd like to have it run for 3 days, which it was. I think it has been 3 or 4 days now. But ideally, I want it to run for 72 hours, 48 hours minimum, to allow me to get an idea of, is this going to hold? Because what I don't want to do, and what I see a lot of people do, is they make decisions based off one day's worth of data. And for me, that's not the right thing to do. You don't want to make your decision based off one day. I think anyone who's ran ads has seen day one, amazing. Day two, terrible. Right? Because day one, Facebook finds a low hanging fruit, gives you really good results, gets you really, hyped up. This campaign's going to crush. Day two, right? So we don't want to fall into that trap. The way that we don't fall into that trap is we allow it to run. We don't touch anything. Okay, that offer, that ad got 5 sales, like it's 200% ROI. I'm going to leave it. What's day two look like? And for all we know, it might balance things out. And at that point, maybe you need to allow day 3 to run to decide whether you move that into a prove ad set. So there's a couple of things to take away from that. Don't get premature, okay? Day 1, even if it does have amazing results, let it run a couple of days. Just let it sink, okay? Let it stabilize. Obviously, we want to capitalize on performance, right? That's, definitely what we want to do, but we don't want to prematurely scale an ad when it could fall to shit, right? It just may have just got off to a really good day on day 1, which a lot of ads seem to do because of the low hanging fruit, and then it goes to shit, right? So we want to be careful of that. So back to the campaign, we have this Johnny Original, which for me, the metrics that I'm looking at checkouts, which is our far left. We had 13 checkouts at $15 each. Now, what I'll do is I'll just break down the ad set as well, give us even clearer indication that this all came from one ad, Sins 5, okay? Primary text 2, headline 2. Each of these ad sets is, or the original ad sets, if I open comparison and locker, you can see they all have 5, 2, 3, okay? They all have primary text or a different primary text. 1 primary text in here, comparison, 2 in shocked, and 3 in locker. Okay, so they're all different. The only difference between these 3 ads is there's a different hook. Okay, same body, same script, different hook. Very, very important. That's how I like to keep it, because I don't want to have completely different ads in here. I want to keep it to a certain degree similar, so I know what the difference is. Sins 5, the hook's a difference. That hook for Sin 5 is obviously the hook that's resonating best for Facebook to show it to audience. So Facebook has belief that that hook is going to resonate best and convert to purchases, enter more auctions. And then also that, the audience is reacting to it better, right? So we can see when we break it down to this ad level, we have an 82% ROI. We have 4 conversions. We have 13 checkouts. So check this, 13 checkouts at $13 each. So if we were to go back to our benchmarks, does that hit? 100% it hits. Benchmarks hit. Again, the benchmarks aren't set in stone because we can offset them with different things. But at the grand scheme, yeah, like maybe our cost per checkout, if we look at our CPR, which is checkout to purchase ratio, usually we want to be around 20 to 30%, meaning 1 in 5 to 1 in 3 people convert from checkout to purchase. So when we know that math, going through our profit predictor, which is a Google sheet that we have, a calculator sheet, where before we even run an ad or run an offer, we predict cost, we predict the CPM, we predict the CTR, we predict the checkout, the CPR, we predict the conversion rate of the offer. Does this line up? What's our payout? What's our CPM? Gives us the idea of what our cost per click is going to be, what our landing page click-through rate is going to be, or our landing page cost per click is going to be, and then what our conversion rate is going to be. Based off our predictions, is this offer going to back out? It's a very important thing to do. Does it always hold true? Nope. Probably more times no than yes, because we don't know exactly what the CPM is going to be. I have a good idea because we run in multiple niches. I'm in the trenches every single day running ads. So I have my finger on the pulse, right? But we don't know if there's going to be a certain keyword that flags a high CPM, a certain creative, maybe the offer is really saturated or the niche is really saturated, which can have an impact on our CPM. So we don't always know exactly what's going to happen. We just need to predict and have a baseline, right? So for me, if we're getting checkouts at $13 and our checkout to purchase ratio is what this is, which is roughly around 30%, I know we're going to be super freaking profitable. Okay. And so like initially after these few days worth of data, I can see this is looking good, right? Again, is it a confirmed winner? No, we have nowhere near enough data to confirm that. But I do have enough data to say, all right, well, this is worth sending into a prove ad set. And you can see up here, we have this ad set, prove. There's only one ad in it, so we don't really need to break it down. But it's this same ad. And it's an existing post ID. You can see the string of numbers at the end is the existing post ID. So we take this ad, we grab the post ID of that ad, and we duplicate it into a new ad set. So what started here at $50 a day, we take into here, I think it's $200 a day, okay? And now, does this ad continue to get sales? Well, if we look, yep, it does. 29 checkouts and a really good checkout cost. However, the checkout to purchase ratio's dropped, but it's still profitable. Remember, all right, maybe that checkout to purchase ratio, what would that be? It'd be, again, my maths isn't the best off the top of my head, but what would that be? Maybe, I want to see 20%, but it's not 20%, is it? Ugh. I wish my maths was better. It's maybe 15%. Don't shoot me if I get that wrong, but let's just say it's 15%. Well, maybe our benchmark's 20%, okay? And it actually is 20%. This doesn't fit. Oh no, what are we going to do? Well, I'm not being funny, but it's profitable, so I'm not going to do anything, right? This is still good for me. Do you know what I mean? So, I just see, again, going back, so many people just get fixated on, well, that doesn't fit the benchmark. Are you profitable? Yeah. Well, does it matter? No. Okay. So don't get weighed down by benchmarks that you need to aim for. They're important. They're secondary. Okay. So we can see the conversion rate is still pretty good. It's hovering at 1%. With a little bit of optimization, potentially with like a little bit more data, maybe some landing page optimization, we can potentially increase this. Okay. So we've not talked about landers, and I probably won't talk about it too much in this video, but landers are a very important part of the puzzle and quite often neglected. In what I see, we spend so much time optimizing the landing page, and we usually use quizzes because we're able to really twist the knife subconsciously by asking really, pain-provoking questions that they have to click multiple choice. And it's all, ultimately it's a micro commitment to them subconsciously admitting something, that they have a problem, that they're not happy where they are, and ultimately that they need a solution to fix it. Well, if you can do that, that really helps increase the conversion rate of the offer. So we can optimize that. And again, it's something that we do a lot that I don't see too many people talk about or do. A lot of the time it's, I just need to do the ad, the ad. A lot of the time you can help the ad by optimizing the landing page, right? By that bridge page. It gets missed so many times. Okay, so we've got that, right? We've got our prove ad set running. It's off to a great start. It's only been running a day. Maybe this is the second day. So there's, nowhere near enough data to be like, oh, well, it's ready to go again. Like I want to see again, at least 3 days worth of data here to determine whether this ad is going to be eligible to be duplicated into a higher ad set at a higher budget. Again, I'm just reproving. Okay, we've proved at $200 a day. What's it going to look like at $1,000 a day? Okay, and that's really going to help us. Maybe not $1,000, maybe $500, but that's going to help determine whether we move this ad into a scaling CBO, okay, into our scale phase. So we have the test phase, which is, these originals, like this is testing. Then we have the prove phase, which is this is the early step of. Then we're going to, further prove, or I like to further prove at a higher budget. And then we've got the scale phase. So the goal is to find, 3, 4, maybe 5 ads that we can prove and move into a CBO. And that CBO, we have a really high budget, we have bid caps or cost per result. I prefer bid caps. And quite often at that point, we have enough data that we can start day parting. And what I'm looking at is, do we have a 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 hour block of time where the vast majority of those hours are green and they're consecutive hours? I don't want to stop start. I want a consecutive block of hours that I can say, I only want to spend money in these hours. That is my favorite optimization, is to be able to say, well, look, what's the point in running outside of these hours when overall we're at a loss of 10%? Let's just put all our budget into these 8 hours. Let's say it's, 2 a.m. till 10 a.m. It's just, I'm not saying that's what's happening, but I'm just saying it's easy for me to work out that 8-hour block. Let's put all our money in there because overall it's 50% plus ROI. If we then take all our winning ads and put them in that winning block of time, what are we going to see, right? With our high budgets, hopefully we see scale, right? And hopefully this is by far, in my opinion, the best and easiest and fastest way to go from a couple $100 a day in test phase to tens of thousands of dollars a day. And hopefully I have this campaign where I can walk you through that process, or at least I'll be adding case studies to ad profits and my one-on-ones. So might not be as detailed as this, which is just like a little bit of a plug to get inside. But yeah, to go back to the actual results of what we're seeing some really good things here, right? We also have Johnny V2, so our new iteration. And this time it's working really well off locker, which is our angle, right? So with the locker angle, we don't have any confirmation, but I am looking and I'm saying, that's decent, man. 7 checkouts is good. Now, the one thing that I will say, this has only been running, I think this is the second day, so I'm not making too hasty a decision just yet. Actually, this isn't the second day, is it? How much has it spent, this ad set? 180, okay, 180. So this is actually going into day 4. Interesting. Now, we can see there's an ad here, and this allows me to sort of clarify as well. We've got an ad here because we've not talked about turning things off. Sin 6, which has spent $100, and it's not got any checkouts. It's not got any purchases, and the checkouts are quite high. Okay, so now for me, although we could get a sale in the next few clicks, the next $10 could bring a sale, and that would mean it's profitable. For me, I want to turn this ad off. This isn't an ad that I want the budget to go to, because I can see here I actually have 2 ads that, although they don't have loads of data, they've got a really good cost per checkout, and they've got multiple checkouts, okay? Both of these ads. And they've both converted to sales. So I would rather turn this ad, Sin 6, off to allow the budget in this ad set to flow through to these 2 ads that are looking good, that I've got off to a good start. Okay, so that's one move that I'm going to make, is turn this ad off if it's not already been caught, right? We have automated rules help this. But so this may already be turned off, but I'll double check. And then the question is, do I deem this ad as an ad that I should progress into prove? For me, I'd like to see a sale or 2 more. I'd like to see a couple purchases more, ideally 3 or 4 purchases for me to determine that. However, if I want to make a little bit more of a more aggressive move, and part of media buying, by the way, although, I think logistical, methodical is important, also gut reaction is important, and quite often not talked about. For me, I'm a very sort of, I guess, emotionally driven media buyer, which isn't always the best thing, by the way. I don't think emotional decisions are very wise. So with ones where I think this is a bit risky, I want to back it up with data, where the methodical side comes in. However, sometimes with this, if I'm feeling aggressive, If I'm feeling like, well, I just want to get some more, prove some more winning ads, I may move ads prematurely. And then it's a 50-50. Do they pay off? Do they not? Well, if they pay off, fantastic. If they don't, all right, well, I took the risk. I rolled the dice. It didn't pay off. So sometimes I will make moves prematurely, but that's all part and part of being a media buyer, or at least a media buyer. Sometimes you have to go with your gut and not always wait for the data. Obviously, it's wise to get the accurate data to make sure it's significant, but sometimes you just need to make that move. Okay, so for me, I might look at scaling, or not scaling, but proving Sin 7. And then, I'm not going to go into too much depth in the other ones. We can see we've got Drake, the Drake campaign, which, I did actually try and move. And here's a really good example. Here's a fantastic example. We had this, Drake Locker, okay? And we had Drake Free. Obviously, I'm assuming this is the only... I wonder if there's... It says the 11th on the campaign. So let's just change that. Just see if we've got... Okay, that would make more sense. So we have... Okay, so we have the Drake Locker, right? So Drake Free has 2 sales. This is a fantastic example of what I was just talking about. 2 sales, really good ROI, good checkout, or not amazing, but a few checkouts, really good checkout to purchase ratio, but not a lot of data. So not significant, not an accurate decision to be made here with our methodical mindset, but gut reaction, do we roll the dice? For me, I decided to roll the dice. Did it pay off? Well, I don't know. I honestly don't know. We've only spent $123 in this new ad set. So it only went live. I think it must have gone live yesterday. And it's not spent much. So potentially this could pay off. It's not paid off straight off the bat, but it's got sales. It's got 2 sales. It's got, checkouts. But look at that checkout to purchase ratio, right? It's not really that great, right? And again, don't ask me to give you the percentage. It's further down. I can scroll across on the red track to find out what the percentage is, but it's definitely not great. Okay, it's probably maybe 12% or something. Maybe 12%, because 20 checkouts and 2 sales would be 10%. So it's going to hover. Maybe it's 15%. I don't know. Stop asking me. But it's not great. Okay, but the conversion rate, it falls in. It falls in. So we'll see. We'll see how this pans out. But early start, not the best, but it's not losing money. And that's the main thing, okay? Okay, so that's Drake. And then we've got ads and ad sets in here that have been turned off. So this has been turned off. It got a sale, but it was with the other offer that we were testing, which was a lower payout. And I mentioned that we were rotating 2 offers. Now we're only going with 1 offer because we have significant data to determine that 1 offer is way more profitable, okay? So that's what's happening in Drake. Then we got Quad. I'm not going to break this down because it's a bit obvious as what we're doing in the Quad breakdown. But you can see, like, overall, 4 sales, 20 or 19 checkouts. I'm going to say 20 because it gives me a better, ability to work out checkout to purchase. 20%. There we go. Really good cost per checkout. 4 sales, giving us a good checkout to purchase ratio. Conversion rate, you could argue, needs to be higher, but I don't care, right? And this is going back to, don't have things set in stone. Things are the great thing about being an affiliate is we're fluid, okay? That is probably the best, one of the best things. There's multiple good things, but one of the best things about being an affiliate is we're fluid. We're not tied to an offer. And that's actually an interesting thing. I did some content for my community recently, which was one of the biggest mistakes you can make as an affiliate is becoming married to an offer, not being able to drop the offer, not knowing when to drop the offer. It's a really, really important thing to avoid. And, I'm talking from experience. I've done it. I've become married to an offer and it's, lost me money in the long run. So you need to know when to drop it. So again, sort of off on a tangent there, but this is a really good start to this campaign. This was only introduced, what's it spent, 230. and there's 4 ad sets in here, or 3 ad sets, sorry, so it's 150 a day. So we're second, or it's been 2, maybe 3 days now that it's been running. Really good start here. I haven't delved into it too much to determine whether there's stuff that we can prove. There might be. So that's another step. And then we've got these 2 other campaigns that you can see I haven't spent that much, don't have sales, but I can see the peanut campaign has a couple more checkouts. I'm going to let these 2 run and see what happens. But overall, we're 9% ROI, 10% ROI, which is great. Again, we're at the early stage of testing, so we're not losing money, which is fantastic. And now we're starting to pull outliers out. So we've got 2 at the moment. I think we're going to have, hopefully 3 or 4 that we can do. But you can see, like if we can pull these out and hold at scale, we're really looking good. So there we go. Again, to recap, we test, and ideally with a variety of concepts. So for me, I like to have different angles, different creative concepts. I like to have, an image or a style of image, or maybe a couple of styles of image. I like to have a few different video styles, UGC, authority, B-roll, etc. First person making a recipe or a drink, that type of thing. And then also we have different angles within the copy, okay? Different messaging within the copy. And by doing this, we're able to really dig down. And again, remember, if you're going to follow this type of framework, it's really important that we're focused on pockets of profit. Don't get dissuaded or disheartened by your overall campaign number, okay? Dig down and see what's going on, right? The priority here, the number one goal in the test phase is 2 things. Test the offer to determine that the offer has legs and we can continue to run it. And we do that by obviously seeing if it has sales, what the conversion rate is, and then digging down into the pockets of profit, right? By testing multiple angles, multiple creatives, multiple ad copies, that allows us to really dig down and find those pockets of profit. And then again, I mentioned it briefly, we have landing pages. So I like to rotate 2 landers at a time. Often I'll rotate the same lander, but change the headline, maybe change the opening question. I'm big on quizzes, really big on quizzes. I just see it as such a needle mover to be able to take someone from maybe problem aware to solution aware to product aware. Like, it's a really good way of getting them to subconsciously admit they have a problem, and then also that they need a solution. It's a really good way. And again, I go into it in more depth when I talk one-on-one with my clients, which leads me on to the final thing. And that is, I do have space within my one-to-one program where you will work one-on-one with me. We jump on one-to-one calls. We're not group calls. Okay, we do have another product that does have group calls. But for me, as an affiliate, when I was starting out, I was desperate for a one-on-one mentor. I was desperate to have that one-on-one private time away from prying eyes. The issue with group coaching, although is great and very valuable, you don't want to share your ads. You don't want people to see your page, your URL, your lander, because then that opens you up for people coming and ripping your ads or coming and looking exactly what you're doing, what offer you're running. It creates competition, and it definitely creates people, the lazy ones, who will just come and rip your ad and just run it as their own. And, they're the worst, right? The lazy ones. So instead, I think one-to-one is super important within the affiliate industry, hence why I've decided to open that up. So if you're in the market, if you're an affiliate already, or maybe you're a media buyer that's just sick and tired of client work, which I was back when I had my agency, I was just burned out. I decided to transition to affiliate, and it was the best move I ever made. You can read more, look through my YouTube channel, check out my Clickbank podcast that I did at Diamond Summit a year or 2 ago. Bit more of my story there, and you're able to see who I am and what I'm about. But for me, I needed that one-on-one support. So if you want one-on-one help, there's a link below in the description. You can book a call with either myself or Alfred, my right-hand man, and we'll discuss whether our program is a suit for you. If it's going to suit you, it's definitely not cheap, okay? It's definitely expensive, so be aware. I think it's ideal for people that are maybe running $500 to a few $1,000s per day, and they just want to get to the next level, okay? They want to get to 5-figure days, even 6-figure days. So if that's you, if you have experience, if you're already running multiple hundreds or thousands per day and you really want that next step up, you want someone to be able to bounce ideas off, you want to jump on a call with me and help optimize your campaign, you want an introduction into my circle of vendors and service providers and team of creative designers and everything else, agency accounts, then obviously I'm going to be able to help you do that. You also get 24/7 access to me. So if that sounds like a good move, then book a call below, choose a day and time. You'll talk to either myself or Alf, and we'll make sure that this is right for you, and we'll also rain down some really good insight to help you. Whether this isn't the right thing for you anyway, we'll still make sure that you walk away from that call with an absolute bucket load of value. So again, jump down below, book that call, and I'll speak to you soon.